stared at the screen. His name was still there. One unread message. Just one. But it felt like the entire world was sitting inside that little bubble. I didn't open it right away. I set the phone on the bed, stood up, paced around the room like someone who had lost their bearings. My hand moved to my hair, pulling lightly, as if doing so would make my head clearer. But it didn't. Everything was still tangled. I knew this much. If I opened that message, I'd get pulled back in. Not because he forced me, but because I wasn't strong enough to walk away cleanly. I went back to the bed, picked up the phone. The screen was still lit. The message was still there. Finally, I opened it. Don't. Just one word. Short, but enough to make my chest tighten. I stared at it. Then, 3 dots appeared. He was still typing. I nearly stopped breathing. Don't do this. Another message. We're not done. I laughed softly. A laugh with no joy in it. We're not done. I stared at those words and felt a wave of emotion rise inside my chest. We never really started, I murmured. My fingers began to type, then stopped. Delete. Type again. What do you want us to be, Thatcher? I hit send. This time, he replied almost instantly. I already told you. I'm trying. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, then typed. I don't need you to try. A brief pause. Then what do you need? I looked at that question. And this time I didn't hesitate. I need you to be sure. 3 dots. Disappeared. Came back. I could picture him somewhere, staring at his screen the way I was, not knowing what to say. Finally, can't. 3 words. This time. They no longer surprised me. I looked at them for a long time, as if waiting for the emotion to explode. But it didn't. There was only a hollow space, a strange stillness, as if everything inside me had grown so tired it had no energy left to hurt anymore. Then, I typed slowly. We're done. Send. Immediate. No waiting. No hesitation. 3 dots appeared almost simultaneously. Vance, please. The next message. Don't be like this. Give me more time. I read them, but this time, I didn't get swept away. I only saw repetition. Everything that had happened before, and would happen again. If I let it, I set the phone down, stared at the ceiling. My heart still hurt, but there was no panic. Just a deep, quiet sadness. The phone lit up again. One more message. At least. Talk to me. I picked it up. My finger slid across the screen. I opened his contact page. Looked at the name. Thatcher, the person who had once made me laugh. Who had kept me up all night just waiting for one message. Who made me believe that maybe I had found something real. And also the person who taught me what it felt like to be someone's second choice. I took a deep breath. My finger hovered over the button. Block. Just one tap. Everything would be gone. No more messages. No more 3 dots. No more nights spent waiting. But also, no more him. I closed my eyes. And in that moment, every memory rushed back. The first rainy night. The touch of hands in the library. A kiss at 1 in the morning. The still up? Texts. The way he used to look at me like I was the only person in the room. I opened my eyes and realized all of those things had happened. They were real, but not enough. Not enough to build something lasting. Not enough to make me stay. My finger pressed down. Block. The screen changed immediately. The conversation vanished from the main list, as if he had never existed. I exhaled. A long breath. My shoulders dropped. No sound of something breaking. No drama. Just a quiet ending. The days that followed were empty. No good morning texts. No one asking what are you up to. No late nights staying awake, waiting for a name to light up. I began to realize how used to having him I had become, and how large the space he left behind truly was. There were moments I almost went back to the blocked list, just to unblock him, just to see if he sent anything. But I didn't, because I knew If I went back, I'd fall into the same cycle again. 1 week later, I saw him on campus. From a distance, he was walking with that girl. They were laughing, talking, looking normal, as if nothing had changed. He saw me. Our eyes met, just for a second. Then he looked away. I stood there. Didn't he walk over? Didn't he call his name? Just watched. And this time, I didn't feel my heart break. Just something lighter, like I had just let go of something I had been holding on to for too long. That night, I lay in bed, staring at my phone. No messages. Nothing. But I no longer felt the need to check. I opened a new chat, not with him, but with myself. I typed, "You did the right thing," then smiled softly. Maybe I would still think about him. Maybe there would still be nights when I asked myself what if. But at least, I had chosen myself. And for the first time in a long time, I felt okay. I thought. It ended there. One block. One silence. An ending clear enough that I could start again. But life isn't always that neat. It doesn't give you a reset button. It leaves echoes. And sometimes, those echoes come back when you least expect them. 3 weeks later, my life began to find its rhythm again. I went to class more consistently, talked to friends more. There were even moments when I forgot to check my phone every few minutes. Not completely, but enough to breathe a little easier. Until one Friday afternoon, I was sitting in class, half listening, half skimming through some notes when my phone vibrated softly in my pocket. A notification. I hadn't planned to check it. But then, something strange made me take it out. A message from an unknown number. "Hey, it's me." My heart stopped. No name needed. No further explanation. I knew who it was. Thatcher. I stared at the screen, feeling like time was slowing down. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Another part had already read the message a third time. "Hey, it's me." Simple. As if nothing had happened. As if he wasn't the person I had to block just to keep living normally. I didn't reply. I set the phone face down on the desk. Tried to focus on the lecture. But the words on the slides no longer meant anything. That evening, I received more messages. Same number. "I know you blocked me. I don't blame you. I just want to talk." 3 messages. A few minutes apart. As if he was carefully choosing each word. I read them. Didn't reply. But this time, I couldn't pretend it didn't affect me. I set the phone down. Then picked it up again. Then put it down again. A familiar cycle. The 4th message. "Just once. Please." I closed my eyes. I knew that feeling. The way you beg for one chance, even when you're not sure you deserve it. I had been in that place before. With him. And maybe that was why I couldn't completely ignore it. I opened the reply box. My finger hovered. Then I typed. "What do you want to say?" I hit send. Almost immediately, 3 dots appeared. Faster than any time before. "I'm sorry." I read it. No immediate reaction. I know that's not enough. But I still wanted to say it. I exhaled slowly. "Sorry for what?" I typed. A brief pause, then, "For making you feel like a second choice." My chest sank a little. He knew. He had always known. He just hadn't done anything about it. "I never wanted you to feel that way." The next message. I just didn't know how to handle everything. I looked at those words. Then typed. "But you still chose to make me feel that way." No rebuttal. Just, yeah. One word. Honest. But late. We messaged back and forth. Not as fast as before. Not as light as before. Every sentence carried weight. Every word carried the past. "I've been thinking a lot." He wrote. "Me too." I replied. I realized. I was scared. I know. Scared of losing everything if I chose you. And you lost me by not choosing. A long silence. Longer than any before. I almost thought the conversation had ended. Until I chose wrong. 3 words. Light, but heavy. I looked at them for a long time. Something in my chest resonated. Not pain. Not exactly. But something close to regret. Maybe. I replied. I'm not asking you to forgive me right away. He continued. I just want a chance. I smiled faintly. A chance. We had so many chances before. And every time, it ended the same way. What do you want from me, Thatcher? I asked. This time he didn't reply right away. Nearly a full minute passed. Then, I want to try again. My heart beat harder. I want to do everything right this time. No hiding. No half measures. I want you. I stared at the screen. The words I had once wanted to hear most. Coming now when I was no longer sure I could believe them. I didn't reply right away. I set the phone down. Stepped out onto the balcony. The night wind blew gently. Everything was quiet. But inside my head, a war. On one side, memory. On the other side, pain. And in the middle, a question I couldn't escape. Could I trust him? One more time? I went back inside. Picked up the phone. The chat was still open. 3 dots. Not appearing. He was waiting, just like I used to wait. I took a deep breath and started typing. My fingers paused on the screen. I knew what I was about to write would decide everything. Not just the matter between me and Thatcher, but the way I treated myself. I used to be someone who always stayed, always waited, always hoped that if I was patient long enough, the other person would finally see my worth. And this time, I didn't want to repeat that. I started typing. I can't go back to how things were before. I hit send. 3 dots appeared almost instantly. No one said we have to. He replied, we can start over. I shook my head, though he couldn't see it. No, I typed. Starting over just means we walk the same road again, just with the hope that this time would be different. A pause. Then, I've changed. I smiled softly. That phrase. So familiar it almost sounded hollow. Maybe, I replied, but I can't bet my heart on maybe anymore. No immediate reply. I watched the screen, waited, not because I wanted him to convince me, but because a part of me still wanted him to try. Finally, then what do I have to do for you to trust me? That question made me stop. I thought, not about him, but about myself. What did I want? Promise? An action? Or a certainty that perhaps no one can guarantee? I don't know. I answered honestly. All I know is, last time I trusted you, and it left me having to piece myself back together. 3 dots. Disappeared. Then came back. I hate that I made you feel that way. I exhaled. But you did. Yeah. 1 word. No justification, no deflection. Just acceptance. That softened me slightly, but not enough. Are you still with her? I asked. A question I knew I needed the answer to. No. He replied immediately. I ended it. When? A week after you blocked me. I frowned. Then why didn't you reach out sooner? A pause. This one longer. Because I was scared. I laughed quietly. Scared again. Yeah. He replied. Scared you wouldn't want to hear from me anymore. You were right. I said. Not to hurt him. Just the truth. We were silent for a while. No one typed anything. But no one left either. As if both of us knew. This wasn't the end of the conversation yet. Finally, he sent, "Can I see you?" My heart stopped. Not because I was surprised, but because I had known this question was coming. For what? I asked. To talk. We're already talking. It's not the same. He replied, I want to look at you when I say it. I stared at that line, and in my mind appeared the image of him standing under the yellow light, like on that night, like the first time, like the last. I don't think that's a good idea. I typed. Why? Because I know myself. I replied, if I see you, I'll go soft again. No immediate rebuttal. Just, so you still have feelings. I smiled sadly. That was never the problem. The problem was, I couldn't keep loving someone while asking myself every day whether I even mattered to them. Vance. A message appeared. I don't want to lose you. I stared at that line for a long time, then typed, "You already have. Send." No hesitation. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, came back, as if he was searching for some way to change what couldn't be changed. "I'm still here," he wrote. "I'm not going anywhere." I closed my eyes. Part of me wanted to believe that, wanted to go back, wanted to try one more time. But then, I remembered what it felt like to be left behind. The feeling of watching him laugh with someone else. The feeling of asking myself, what am I to him? And I knew I couldn't go back to that version of myself. I need to move forward. I typed, "Without you." A silence. Long, heavy. And this time, I knew it was different from all the others. Not the silence of hesitation, but the silence of acceptance. His final message came nearly 2 minutes later. Okay, just one word. No pleading, no clinging, just letting go. "I'm sorry for everything. And thank you." I read it. My heart ached for a moment, but it didn't break. "Take care of yourself," I replied. One simple line, but all I had left to give. 3 dots didn't appear again. No more messages. Just an ending, this time. A real one. I set the phone down, sat still, not crying, not laughing, just breathing. One long breath. And in that moment I realized, love isn't always about holding on. Sometimes it's knowing when to let go. And this time, I had let go. Not because I had stopped loving him, but because I had started loving myself more. After that conversation, everything truly ended. No more maybe, no more who knows, no more long silences stretched between 2 messages. Only a clear, clean line. Me and Thatcher, 2 points that had once touched, then drifted apart in different directions. The days that followed weren't easy. Don't misunderstand. Not the kind of pain that makes you unable to breathe. Not the kind where you cry all night like in the movies. But small moments, scattered, quiet and persistent, like when I unlocked my phone in the morning and instinctively looked for a name that was no longer there. Like when I walked past the library and remembered the first time he asked me about an outlet. Like when it rained, and I stood still under the awning, looking out, remembering that night, the night I had thought everything was beginning. The memories didn't disappear. They just lost their weight. Slowly, bit by bit, I started changing my routines. Not because I wanted to forget, but because I didn't want to stay stuck. I joined a club at school, a small group that ran a student podcast. At first, it was just something to fill the time. But then, I realized I liked sitting in front of a microphone, saying out loud the thoughts I used to keep only in my head. One episode, the topic was first love. I didn't tell my own story, but I said one thing that I still remember. Sometimes, the first person who makes you feel loved is also the first person who teaches you how to leave. No one knew who I was talking about, but I did. A month passed, then 2. My life gradually filled back up, not with another person, but with myself. I slept earlier, ate properly, laughed more, not the forced kind, but natural. There were days when I didn't think about Thatcher at all. And when I realized that, I didn't feel guilty, just light, until one afternoon, I saw him again, not from a distance, but very close, in the library, that very same table, the table where everything began. I was looking for a seat when I spotted him first. He looked up. We made eye contact. Neither of us looked away immediately, just looked. 1 second, 2 seconds, then he gave a small nod. I did the same. No smile, no words, just an acknowledgement. We used to. I chose a different table, not too far, but not close either. And for the first time, being in the same space as him didn't make me feel like I couldn't breathe. Just normal. About an hour later, as I was packing up my things, he stood, walked past me, stopped. I looked up. "Hey," he said. "Hey," I replied. Our voices, calmer than I expected. "You doing okay?" he asked. I nodded. "Yeah." "You?" "Yeah." He nodded too. A brief pause. Not uncomfortable. Just nothing more to say. I like your podcast, he said, a little unexpectedly. I blinked. You listened to it? Yeah. He shrugged, stumbled across it. I smiled faintly. Thanks. He nodded, then walked away. Didn't he look back? Didn't he linger? And didn't he call after him? That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. No messages. Nothing. But I didn't feel like anything was missing. I thought about him, not with pain, but as a memory, a chapter that had closed. And this time, I didn't want to reopen it. I picked up my phone, opened notes, and wrote one line. The last message. Wasn't the ending. It was where I started over alone. I read it back, then smiled. Softly, genuinely, without forcing it. If you asked me now, do I have regrets? For loving Thatcher? For trusting him? For staying too long? I would say, no. Because without him, I wouldn't have known what I deserved. And more importantly, I wouldn't have known when to let go. Sometimes, love doesn't end with a big fight. Not with tears. Not with words that cut deep. But simply, a message, a decision, a quiet tap on the block button. And after that, a long journey of learning to live without that person. I walked through that journey, and I'm still walking. Not perfectly, not in a rush, but free.